Welcome everyone to the MedSpa Accelerator podcast, brought to you by Everable Marketing, the go-to resource so you can get the latest hacks and best practices to market and grow a profitable medical aesthetics practice. My name is Maripili and I am obsessed with all things business, marketing, operations, numbers, and helping you grow and take your MedSpa to the next level. This is the MedSpa Accelerator podcast, Season 2. Welcome everybody to the MedSpa Accelerator podcast. Here we have Luis Trevino with us today.
How's it going, guys?
And today we're going to be talking about strategic partnerships and the impact that it can make inside your business and building it in a very organic way.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, I feel like something that is very, like it's, I feel we've heard some of our clients doing this in the past, but I feel like it's not something that is talked about enough. And I feel like it's something that's just really untapped in the marketplace.
Yes.
And it obviously, like, it's something that's low cost. It does require some time, I will say that, but like it's low cost and can be very profitable for yourself and your partner.
Yeah.
And I think it's a win-win-win situation.
Yes. And it's also something that it can really go, like once you figure it out, it can just like kind of run in the background.
Yes.
Almost like extra income. What's it called? Passive income.
Yeah, passive income. Almost. Yeah. And well, you know, because I feel like obviously, you know, you have a business and one of the biggest questions is where's my next patient going to come from? Right. And so, you want to saturate your output as much as possible, right? And so that you can have as much input, right? And so in that case, like, you know, you're doing your advertising, you're doing your social media marketing, you have a website, you might be doing some other kinds of marketing and advertising. A strategic partnership is a really great way to, find a partner where you can both benefit from each other. Yeah. They can send clients your way, you can send clients their way, and it doesn't cost you money. Like, it's not like advertising when you have to put money up front and then you're kind of just hoping that people come in. Right. Like, you can structure these partnerships in a way where, you know, you don't have to pay anything until actually something happens, like somebody starts treatment. And obviously your cost of acquisition is relatively low compared to some of these other, acquisition models. Right. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. What is really a strategic partnership? Like, what do we want out of this?
Yeah, I mean, so a strategic partnership is essentially like, a partnership, right? That you kind of establish with maybe another business owner or an influencer in your space that where like you have clientele that can benefit them and they have clientele that can benefit you.
Yeah. So one of the things that people ask me a lot is, okay, well, how do I find this strategic partner? Like, should I just partner with anybody, or does it have some like thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and so I think like, you can go about it like, first of all, it's like you have to understand like who in your local area has the same core values, like same,
very important,
like that kind of like, it's not like, it's obviously not what you're doing. You're not going to go work with another med spa, right? Like, you want to work with somebody who is aligned with the services that you provide. Like, so I guess like a good example is like, if you offer, treatments in regards to beauty, well, then ultimately you could work with like a hair salon, or you could work with the gym, right? If you're offering like, fat reduction services, then you could ultimately partner up with like personal trainers, yoga studios, and there's a lot of, really, there's a lot of options.
Definitely. So like when you're thinking about this, like just think of like your audience, who your ideal audience is, and who's, and your partner, like if their ideal audience is the same as yours or overlaps at least somehow, then that would be a strategic partnership.
Yeah. That was actually a really good way of phrasing it. Like if they overlaps, like, because I think that's the main thing. Right. Like at the end of the day, people that, obviously want to, are going to the gym really care about shaving that last piece of body fat that they just are having a really hard time to do, you know? So yeah.
And the thing too is that like you can even have multiple strategic partnerships with that tap different audiences if that is something that like makes sense for your business. So for example, in the MedSpa space, I know we have like, you know, the mommy makeovers, like those extra like pounds that you just can't get rid of. And so that might make sense to like partner with somebody that is also catering to moms, you know, whatever that might be, like even mommy groups or something along those lines, then that would make sense for that specific. But you could also partner with maybe, like Luis was saying, a gym or a coach or something along those lines where like, hey, it might be a different clientele, but it still makes sense.
Yeah. And like the same thing goes, like if you're a dentist or an orthodontist, like you have the opportunity to kind of align yourself with really almost any business, I feel like, because at the end of the day,
everybody wants a nice smile.
Everybody wants to have a nicer smile. Everybody needs a healthier smile. Right. And so really, like, I feel like it's a market specifically in the dental industry, like that is really untapped. Like, I don't really see this happening a lot. And it's just such an easy way to go establish that partnership, right? Get that relationship going. Yeah. And then you can start they can start literally sending people your way. Like, you know.
And you can be very creative with it as a dentist, because going with the same concept of like tapping on different audiences, like if you want to go more maybe towards like the moms, that because they can bring in several of their kids, then you can go like with somebody that aligns to that market, like who are they going to and where else are they buying even locally to get that partnership going. Or maybe you want to cater to college kids or, you know, somebody or like professionals, then how do you go about that, right? And making sure that you get like kind of tap your different markets.
Yeah, for sure. And it's literally as simple as just like going online, you know, you go to Google, type in the type of business, you can start finding people, and then literally you could start inviting people out for lunch. I mean, I feel like there's a ton of medical professionals that their whole business is based around this one model. You know what I mean? Like they hire someone that takes these doctors out for lunch, take these lawyers out to lunch, and establishes relationships so that they can send them referrals. Like that's what it is at the end of the day.
It sounds kind of old school, but it's pretty nice. Yeah,
it's pretty nice because like there is no cost of the cost of acquisition is like low. Yeah. You know, and yes, it does require some time. But, you know, these, like we were saying, right, these are some strategies that you can implement, like if you don't want to be dumping a ton of money on advertising, you know? So, yeah.
Now, the other really cool thing is that you can start really building a community. And so I know that like cities, I guess, like they kind of have this like pride, you know, like in our areas, like, oh, the 956. Yeah. And so like even like the Chamber of Commerce inside your city probably has like some council. There's probably some Facebook groups of like business owners in the area where you can start creating this community and like start really seeing like partners. And I don't know, just like a little side note here, but sometimes being an entrepreneur and a business owner can get pretty lonely. So starting to create this really amazing community can be so beneficial in many other ways than just the revenue, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like even when you kind of align yourself and partner with some of these other businesses, like it kind of builds your credibility and your value almost. And I feel like it's a competitive advantage in itself because like if somebody starts working with you and because they start working with you, they get all these other side benefits with other local businesses in your area. I mean, that's a competitive advantage. That's a bundle that they're getting with you that, you know, these other people, like your competitors, you know, are not really doing. So I think that's definitely worth consideration.
Right. Yeah. And the really cool thing about like why these work is it's almost like a referral program. Yeah. In like at a bigger scale, right? Because if somebody is already like going to this specific business, they already like it, whether that be like a personal coach or like even like a shopping boutique, like one of those like high fashion boutiques or whatever, they already like that store. So whatever like they're going to recommend, it is more than likely that they're going to listen to them and then end up going with you. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's spot on. That's 100%. So when it comes to like crafting the partnership, I mean, I think there's like, I think there's obviously more ways that you can be creative with it. But to keep things simple, I think we found like 2 ways that you can structure it that, makes it low risk for the people involved. And it's really easy to get started.
Yes, because that is one of the questions, right? Okay, well, I found that my ideal partner, this is what I want to do. Now, how do I really approach the subject, right? Like, how do I
structure the deal?
Yeah, and how do I present it to them so that they actually want to do this with me?
Yeah, and so I feel like the biggest thing here is you want to present it in a way that obviously is going to sound really beneficial for them. And this is just like life in general, right? How can I align my interests with your best interests, right? And so, you want to approach it in such a way where you're going to make it sound really good for them and really for yourself. And then also for your patients, because obviously they want to take care of their patients. You want to take care of yours, and you want to know that the person that you're going to send them to is credible, that, they have a good reputation, so on and so forth, because it's your reputation as well, right? And so, that's something to keep in mind.
Like if those services even like kind of complement each other, that's even like an added bonus. Like I know some med spas that, they also partner with maybe like one of those like catering,
like food caterings,
meals,
personal meal, like fit
fitness,
meals.
Yes. Then that makes sense, right? You get your cool sculpting, and then you're kind of like also getting your meals in a way that like gets your body,
Yeah, for sure. And like, I think one of the interesting trends that we've seen in the dental space is that dental offices have become of this like dental spa almost. And we've seen some dentists like offering like Botox and like, beauty treatments. And so, I mean, even in itself, like a dentist can like, go and establish a partnership with a med spa where like, obviously people at med spas, like they want to have a nice smile, right? They, a straighter smile, a brighter smile, a healthier smile. Like, so those are people that align with, your interests that they can definitely be sending your way. And I mean, vice versa. Yeah. And so win.
Are we partnering up here?
We are partnering up.
What we're doing?
It's funny because we've like, Everbowl has actually gotten like people saying, hey, I own a dentistry. Can you help me? And then we've gotten people that own med spas, like Engage has gotten people that own med spas. And then they're like, hey, can you help me? We're like, no, not necessarily, but I do have another business that does do that. It's just funny. So,
hey, partner, strategic partnerships right here.
There you go. Living proof. And so, like I was saying, there's 2 main ways where you can structure this, right? I think we went on like a little tangent there. So number 1 is going to be based off kind of like sales and commission, right? So it's essentially like, hey, every time you send me a person and they get started with me, I'm going to give you a percentage of whatever it is that they purchased, and vice versa, right? I send you somebody, you can hook me up with something, right? And so, those types of things, like it's just by talking to people and kind of like, working it out. Like, hey, I'm here. Like I'm open to hear whatever suggestions you have. I have this suggestion, and then, you can sell them on it, and then they'll kind of maybe, you can throw some things back and forth,
right?
But then, you work something out, right? But I feel like doing a commission structure is one of the easiest ways that you can get this whole like process started. And, it's low risk. Yeah.
And at the same time, it does give them that little like incentive to actually make this work.
And you won't have to like pay anything until the person actually gets started, right? Which you already have some money there. So you give that to the person, the referral, the person that referred that over. So right.
It's just a matter of really sitting down and like making sure that your numbers like make sense and that it works out for both parties, right?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, like the commission is one. The second one,
this would be more of a retainer per month, right? Yeah. So depending on how the business is working, you can set it so that there is like an established price point, right? That they, like you are setting up every month, and that it makes sense for both businesses to make sure that like it keeps going.
And so, I feel like even we recently were approached by a potential sponsor for the podcast. And like one of the things that they were offering us was a retainer. And so the way that they were structuring this, which honestly is a really great model that you could kind of replicate, is like they're offering a retainer. And so like so basically a retainer is like, hey, I'm going to pay you a sum of money every month. That's just what
and it can be something low. Like it's just to keep that like partnership going.
Yeah. And so, but you set the expectation, right? Like, hey, I'm going to, pay you X amount of money per month. But minimum, I need 3 people that you send my way every month. Otherwise, then like we won't be able to, continue with the retainer. Right. And so, I feel like it makes sense a lot of the times where like you start maybe doing the commission model. And then once something has been established, then you could present more of a retainer model because it's just simpler to manage on the finances.
Yeah.
But then literally we just thought another one on the spot, which like you could do a hybrid as well.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny that we were thinking the same way. Like you can set up like a retainer. Well, the thing I like about the retainer per month is that it kind of makes it a little bit more official.
Yeah.
Whereas like the commission, it can be like, well, I didn't really get anything. But this one is like, okay, like this is happening. Like it's $1,000 a month that I need to pay them. And then me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus like if you can do a hybrid where like every time there's like an extra amount of sales aside from my 3, for example, then you get like
like a commission, and it might be a smaller commission, but at least it's something. Now, I will say like you're 100% right when it comes to doing just the commission, the purely commission based, because sometimes it doesn't feel as official until like some money has been exchanged. So one of the little hacks that you can actually do is that you can tell them like, hey, let's do this partnership. It's commission based. Here's a little something in good faith. Right. And just to kick the relationship off in a really great, at a really great start, Yeah. And so that's something that you can do if you're willing to, just kind of pass them, $100 or something, right? Just like as good faith money type of thing. And so that'll really, and that way it's like you really kick off the relationship really well. So I think that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think, another way of just kind of like make it a little bit more official, because I've also had this where they're like, well, what if like, I'm really into it and it seems like really well, but then we don't really do anything else about it. And so, I mean, there's something as simple as like making sure that you set up of like, how are you going to be presenting this to your clientele, even making something like a shirt together or a little flyer or something. Like it already establishes that relationship moving forward. For
sure. Like I think one of the, quick wins on this, like is like, get a banner going, right? Like, and then like on that banner, you can position their banner in your office and vice versa, right? And so like, or whether it's some flyers or whatever it is, and those, like somewhere in the front desk, like those are like really easy options that can get done really, really fast. And I think we even had like, that was like one of our clients did. They kind of partnered up with one of our a local, I think it was like a drip, like IV therapy place, right?
Yeah, IV therapy.
And so they had a banner, and on that banner, it just had like both of their logos on there and kind of like what they were doing together. So it was like really cool because, it's like, like I want to, get rid of some fat and do some sculpting. But at the same time, I want to feel good. And part of feeling good is getting my vitamins, Yeah.
And actually like when you do cool sculpting, if you do drink a lot of water, like it actually helps you enhance those results. So in that sense, like, going back to complementing services, like that really makes sense.
So what are some ways that, you can leverage the partnership to get the most out of it?
Well, this is my favorite part because you can be really creative with it.
Yeah.
But I'll let you do the first one because this one was something that you presented and I really love the idea. And I had not thought about this.
Yeah. So like, one of the, we talked about that, like you want to work with somebody that has complementing services, but one of the other ways to think about this that actually you can really exponentially, reach a lot of people is like trying to find, certain types of businesses that like they have to kind of, man, I don't know what the best way to say this, like
they could really benefit from your services.
Yeah. So like working with people that can really benefit from your service, right? So like one of the, the example that we gave was like, okay, I'm going to, I have patients, you have patients that can like definitely like benefit from each other. But another thing is there's current, like looking at businesses and looking at their staff and potentially like you offering your services to those staff members. So a really good example is like realtors. Like, people in real estate, obviously, like, you know, the way that they look is very important for their jobs. And so
it's part of their brand.
Yeah, it's part of their brand. And so like you can go and do a presentation.
Talk to the broker.
Yeah.
Talk to the broker. They usually have like a lot of realtors on staff.
Yeah.
And this can really be beneficial.
Yeah. And so like you can like arrange a presentation where you go and you present like, you know, your services to their entire staff members. And obviously like they would be your ideal audience, right? So think about who's my ideal audience. Like, and like, so even just for like MedSpa is like, okay, well, like, obviously this gym is my ideal audience. So like, I'm going to go to one of the sessions, like let's say a yoga studio. I'm going to go to one of the sessions, and at the end of their yoga session, I'm going to do a 15-minute presentation on like how cool sculpting can help them take their yoga.
M-Sculpt.
Yeah, like M-Sculpt can take their
really well with M-Sculpt.
Yeah, actually that's true. Like can take their yoga routine to the next level.
Yeah,
you know,
because with M-Sculpt, since you work so much on your core, like you can do those handstands and headstands.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool.
And so even for like, you know, for in dental industry and like something like Invisalign or something of the sort, it's like obviously all these people that are sales professionals, like super important to them, right? Like their smile is super important to, you know, their careers.
It gives them the confidence that they need to keep selling.
Yeah. And so like you can go and present, and I mean, think about how huge that is specifically like for like somebody that doesn't have a straight smile, and because they're in sales, they don't want to wear braces. You know what I mean? Like they just don't, you know? And so like, think about all the problems that you'll be solving by offering them this clear aligner solution, right? And so the really cool thing is that when you align yourself with these type of businesses, you can like give them a special rate because of the partnership that you have together. You know what I mean? And so you can make it really, you know, incentivize them. And honestly, like that's pretty cool. Like, because you just,
amazing.
Yeah, like you just spoke once, and you just presented once, and you presented to a room of 20, 30, 50 people. And I mean, that's a pretty good amount of clientele right there.
Yeah. And you can even like, you know, if you live in a smaller town and maybe there's not like something as huge, but you can still do this with like several different businesses. So partner up with maybe like 5 and present that to their staff. I mean, that you just go so many ways.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Yeah. And because we've actually had some clients do that, like in the MedSpa space.
Yes, definitely. Now, the second one that we're talking here is, you know, hosting events together is also a really great way to start this partnership, to present it to your ideal audiences and that audience that overlaps. So doing something whether like it's at their space or then like later at your space, and make sure that, again, like if they buy in this place, they get, you know, a 20% off here. But then also if you buy over here, you get also a special discount. You know, want to make sure that you are catering to their audience and giving them this like VIP treatment, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That is what is really going to make this partnership even like to the next level. That is the whole thing, right? That if they buy here, they feel special. And if they buy here, they feel special.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like, that's like a really great way to build, I guess I was saying earlier, like your value proposition, right? Like the fact that you're going to start, you know, do business with me, you also get the opportunity to get all these other additional perks with these other businesses. So again, it just gives you a competitive advantage. Yeah.
Now, say that, you know, you maybe not want to start like at an event together, though I definitely recommend. It's a great way to, again, emphasize that partnership. But a second part to that, or even like after thought of this event together, it's just sharing those email lists.
Yes.
So if you have like a patient database, which you should already, sharing that makes, you know, just sending out an email to everybody with this special partnership and this special location is just like a very easy way to get things going.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you know, we've talked about email and tech, you know, data, like building your database and just how powerful they are in like still leveraging them and be using them a way to get continued business, you know? And so the fact that like you can share a list with a potential partner, like, hey, like that, like this, you know, this studio has a list of 5,000 people, like that's pretty significant. Like, and like you could really do well with, you know, like lists like that you can just kind of share with each other. And it's a really great opportunity for both of y'all. So, I mean, like definitely sharing an email list, sharing a database, period. You know, so emails, phone numbers, like, you know, names, obviously.
Yes, very important.
But yes, right. So that's a really big one. What else?
And then just emphasizing it with like a combo offer, right? So like we were saying, if it makes sense and the services complement, then definitely making sure that you're crafting an offer that makes sense for both of you. And that when they buy X, they get Y, you know, like making sure.
So it's like, hey, if you get started with me, you get a 10% discount in these 3 locations.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like simple things like that you can kind of, you know, work out with as part of the partnership. Right. And so, you know, because it could just be a straight, like you can refer people straight out. But like one of the things that you can do is that you can leverage that partnership. Like, as I said earlier, as your competitive advantage is like, hey, if you get started with me, you're going to get hooked up with all these other people, you know? And so you could literally just be like, yeah, I mean, because of you working with me, you're going to get a 5%, you know, off or whatever, or you're going to get an additional thing when you go work, you know, go to this other place. Yeah.
And you can, we were talking about this, like you can even make it an experience, right? So I went to do my hair the other day and they were checking me out. I saw like they had some cards on their front desk and they had just opened up a coffee shop in that same plaza. And it was like, hey, because you got your hair done here, you get like a free coffee. And I was like, hey, so simple, so nice. And it's just like, it's a coffee. Everybody likes coffee, right? So, or a tea or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, little things like that are just so like, man, like it's just such an easy win. You know, like I feel like it's just low hanging fruit. It's just there for the taking. You just need to put a little bit of extra work and you can get it.
Yeah. I would have gone even like a step further with this. And if they would have told me like from the beginning, like, hey, because they had me waiting for a little bit while my esthetician was ready. So if they would have told me like, hey, do you want to, you get a free coffee with this. Would you want to go and come back? Just so I could see the place. I wouldn't recommend like, oh, I'll get it for you. Well, maybe. Yeah. But me going to
I mean, if you want to go the extra mile.
Yeah, that would like enhance the service so much. I would be like, whoa, yes, please.
Yeah, for sure. Especially talking about VIP treatment, you know? So yeah. No, I mean, I was saying, I think this is like low hanging fruit that like, you know, definitely needs to be taken advantage of. I feel like these are traditional strategies, guys. Like it's not new, but I feel like there's strategies that we've like forgotten and that we haven't like implemented because, you know, a lot of times it does require work. But it definitely pays off. And I think it's a really great way to get continued business and to continue to grow your business.
Definitely. So, I mean, if you get anything out of this episode, I would definitely recommend for you to start, you know, Googling, get on some like Facebook groups, start seeing like who can you partner up with, who aligns well with your ideal audience right now, and start creating those conversations, start creating your own community, get creative. Do a partnership, do a great offer together and set it all up. Like
for sure. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yes. And then just leave it on the background. It's almost like passive income. You get great referrals out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for listening, everyone. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and gotten some insights and, you know, some actionable items that you can like take back and start implementing your business today. And we hope to see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.